All right. So as part of our manual testing project, so far what we have completed, and let's recap, and then we will proceed further. So first we have understand the requirements based upon FRS document and also based upon the UI of the application. And after that, we prepared a test plan document, and then we also written test scenarios, and then we prepare the test cases. And in the previous session we have seen the some of the test cases for register functionality, and also we have gone through each and every test case, and we have seen the steps how we need to perform. So that is all again comes under the review. And if you want to add more number of test cases, you can still add the test cases, or if you want to modify some test cases, you can still modify them. So that is comes under the reviews. And then we also seen how to write requirement traceability matrix. So as part of the test cases, today also we are going to see few more test cases for login scenario, and after that we will proceed with the rest of the steps. Okay, so let me open the test cases document, and in the previous session I already told you what is western history, and same test scenarios you have to place in one sheet. Then we also discussed about register functionality, all the test cases. Now let us see what are the login test cases. How many test cases we have written for login. So if I just look at here for login test case for second scenario, validate working of login functionality. This is also P0, so which is also most important scenario. And 23 test cases have written. So let us see what was those 23 test cases, and then we will proceed further. So now let us start from the beginning. So here again test case ID. So this is again template, test case ID, test scenario, test case title, prerequisites, and the steps to be performed. Then test data, expected result, actual results, priority result, and comment. So these are again we will update this after while executing the test cases. These columns will be updated. Okay, so these are the test cases written for login functionality. So I'll quickly go through the test case title so that exactly what we tested in the login form, you will know that. And you can just refer the steps later. So how I have written the steps for this particular test case, you guys can go through the steps clearly. I have mentioned here. So here, let me just go through the test case titles so that you will know exactly what are the test cases have written by reading the titles. And this is also most important. Somebody will ask you an interview, write the test cases for login screen. It can be any application. You can just assume the cases and you can write down all the test cases for the login screens. So here, let us start with first test case, and this is my test case one. So you can just look at the ID TC test case LF representing the login form 001. Okay, this is a small format of test case IDs. And login, which scenario we're writing these test cases for login functionality. So this is a second scenario. Okay, so these are all scenario IDs. Now, if I just look at the test case, the first test case for login is validate logging into application using valid credentials. So this is a positive test case. So validate login to application using valid credentials. And what are the prerequisites for that? We need to open the application on any browser, and we need to use the login credentials for existing account. So this is also prerequisite, right? So validate login into application using valid credentials means what? We need to have valid credentials first. So for that, you need to register account and get the valid account, valid credentials, then use those credentials for login. So that is also comes under the prerequisite. So first we need to open the application URL on the browser, then we can use valid credentials to log in into application. These are the prerequisites we need to have, and these are the steps. And if I just look at the steps, first we need to click on the my account drop menu, and then we need to choose the login button. And once you click on the login option, so validate expected result one means here we need to validate this one. As soon as you click on the login option, the first step we are expecting here, user should be navigated to the login page. And then third step, enter valid email address into email address field, and refer the test data. So here test data is required. So this is a valid user email and valid password we need to create before itself. And enter valid email address and enter valid email address into email address field, and enter valid password into the password field. For that also we have to refer this data, and then click on login button. So once you click on the login button, expect a result 2. So that means once you click on the login button, so this is the step should be expected. User should get logged in and take into the account page. So this is our expected result. Okay. So here test data is required. So most of the test cases, test data is required. Fine, this is a test case for login. So one test case. So next test case, validate logging into application using invalid credentials. Using invalid credentials. So this is a negative test case. So when you pass invalid credential, you should not allow login. So validate login into application using invalid credentials. That means invalid email address and invalid password. So what are the prerequisites? So we have to open the application on any supported browsers. And we don't need valid credentials here. We have to pass invalid credentials. And steps are same. And whatever test steps we have written in the first test case, same. But the data will be changed. Because here the same login screen we are testing with the invalid data. So I'm just providing some invalid email address or invalid password. And then what is our expectation? Warning message with the text, like this is a quotation, right? Whatever text I put in the quotation, that should be displayed. No match for email address and or password should be displayed. So this is exact warning message should display on the login screen when I pass the invalid username and password. That is a second test case. Okay, now the third test case, validate logging into the application using invalid email address and valid password. Again, in the different combination. Validate login into application using invalid email and valid password. And again, we have to open the application and the same steps we have to perform, but this time we have to change the data. And this time we have to use invalid email, but password is valid. And then what is our expectation? Again, same warning message should be displayed. That is one test. And we need to always cover positive and negative test cases, guys. So keep it in mind. So whenever you write a test cases, you always write positive and negative test cases. Just a second. Yes. So now the next test case. Validate logging into the application using valid email address and invalid password. So in the previous test case, invalid email address, valid password. This is again reverse. So validate the application, validate the login into application using valid email address and invalid password. So again, same steps we have to perform. Only thing is data is changing, guys. Almost every test case is same steps we have to perform, but we need to change the data accordingly. That is the only difference. In this case also, we should get some warning message here. This is also negative test case. And the next one, fifth test case, validate logging into application without providing any credentials. Validate logging into application without providing any credentials. Then what happens? Here, these are the steps. Go to my account, login option. Don't enter anything into email address field. Don't enter anything into password field. Click on the login button directly. So what is the expected result here is warning message with the text like warning no match for email address and password should be displayed. Again, same warning message we are expecting here, even if you don't pass any username and password. So this is also a negative test case. So most of the times login test cases will be negative. So only one positive test case will be there and rest of them are negative test cases. All right. So next sixth one. So validate forgotten password link is available in the login page and is working or not. So before the login screen, you can see the forgot password link. So once you click on this, you should check whether it is navigating to forgot password page or not. And this is a prerequisite, and the steps are: click on the my account drop down menu and click on login option, and then click on forgotten password link. So when you click on the login option, expected result is 1. So that means this one, user should be taken to login page and forgotten password link should be displayed in the page. And then the third step is click on forgotten password, click on forgotten password link, then expected is this one, user should be taken to forgotten password page. This is one test case. Sixth one. Next, seventh test case. Validate logging into application using keyboard keys. Again, usability testing. So tab and enter. So our cursor is waiting on at username. As soon as you enter the username, press tab key, then it will go to the next element, which is password. Then try to enter the value. So through navigation, through keyboard keys, we are able to navigate or not. We have to test. That is validating logging into application using keyboard keys. And again, open the application is a prerequisite, and these are the steps. Click on my account drop down menu, click on the login option, then press tab keyboard key until the controls come to the email address text field, and enter the valid email address, and press the tab keyboard key to move the control to the password text field and enter the valid password. Then press tab keyboard key until the control comes to the login button and press enter key to submit. Only tab and enter key we have to use. We don't use any mouse operation here. So through keyboard keys, we are able to navigating between multiple elements and we are performing the actions or not. We have to verify. So this is a usability test case. User should be able to log into application. Okay, again, this is all valid credentials. This is one test case. Now, let's move on to the next test case, eighth one, login functionality. So validate email address and password text fields in the login page have the placeholder text. Okay. So ER is nothing but expected result. Okay. So ER, some steps I mentioned ER in the bracket, right? So that is expected result means when I say ER1 means for this particular step, I have to refer here. This is a first option. This is the expected result. Okay, if I just look at here, the column test steps and expected result, ER. Okay, so according to the number, you can just go and refer the expected result. When you perform that particular step, what is the expected result? So that you can refer in the expected result column. Okay, now let's move on to the next test case. So here, uh, eighth test case. So here we have to verify email address and password text fields in the login page have the placeholder. So we already discussed yesterday. So what is placeholder means? On the empty text box, there should be text by default display. That is called placeholder. Okay. So let me open the application. So placeholder is nothing but whenever you see the elements or text boxes, the default text will be displayed on that. So that is called as a placeholder. So this is a home page. If you want to go to the login page, go to my account and click on the login. Right. So this is the, so now you can see here on the text box, you can see email address inside the text box. And here also in the password text box, you can see password is displayed inside the text box. So they are called placeholders. So that we have to verify. So valid email address and password text fields in the login page have placeholder text. And just we need to go to my account and login option, then you will see the placeholders. So this is one more test case for login. Then, so validate login into the application and browsing back using browser back button. Okay, this is another important test case. Validate logging into application and browsing back using browser back button. Sometimes we provide email address password. When I click on the login, it will successfully log in and we can see our my account page. Then click on this back arrow mark. You can see the arrow mark at the browser level. So once you click on the arrow mark, then what should happen? So here, these are the steps which we have to perform. This is the one. So my account login option, enter valid email address into email address field, enter valid password into password field, click on the login. And once you click on the login, you will able to log in. Go to my account page, and from there, click on browser back button. And what is expected result one is, this is your expected. User should not log out. Should not logged out. So this is a FRS requirement. We should not decide whether user should log out or log in. So as per the requirement, we have to write the expected result. That's it. So application should work accordingly. So user should not logged out, even though when you use back button after successful login. Okay. So this is one of the test case. And the next one, test case 10. Validate logging out from the application and browsing back using browser back button. So validate logging out from the application and browsing back using browser back button. So let us see the steps here. First, you need to click on the My Account drop down menu, click on the login option, enter valid email address into email address field, enter valid password into password field, then click on the login. So till here, successful login. So we will enter into the My Account page. Then click on My Account drop down menu and select a logout option. Okay. And once you successfully log in, then you will see the logout option. So you need to go to My Account menu, click on the logout option. And after that, click on the browser back button. So here, once you click on the logout option, what will happen? I think it will come to the login page. Then again, what I'm saying, click on browser back button. So our expected result one, user should not get logged in again. So this is one of the security test case, guys. Very, very important. Okay. So what I'm saying here is, first, you need to log into application. So you will successfully logged in. After that, click on the logout. Then what happens? The logout is happened. Again, come to the previous page. And when I use browser back button, it should not log in again. So I'll show you the flow, then you will understand. So here we need to enter the username and password. Okay, now I successfully logged in. Okay, now observe this. Just go to my account and I'm just clicking on the logout. So when I click on the logout, what happens? I already log out from the application. Okay, so now if I just look at here, account logout is successful, right? So here still, this is my account. It is there. So here I'm just staying here. I'm saying here, click on the back arrow mark. When you click on the back arrow mark, what is expected here is, user should not get logged in again. And if I just look at here, it will show you again same option. So this is again a bug. This is not expected behavior. So once you click on the back button here like this, see this, it is a login page. And here you can see login. Okay, so what is expected? User should not log in again. Should not log in again. Okay, but what happens previously when you click on the logout here? As soon as I click on the logout, so logout is successfully done. So when I click on some continue or do whatever actions, it should not happen. So again, it is asking login. Fine, perfectly working fine. Okay, so once you click on the logout, you should not be there in the my account page. You should not see your profile data. So that is the expectation. Okay, and then this is one test case. These are all security related test cases, basic level security we have to verify. And then the next test case, validate logging into the application using inactive credentials. So this is also one of the important test case. Validate logging into the application using inactive credentials. So what is inactive credentials or inactive account? So sometimes you created one account, for example, you register an account, and you have not used those details a few days or few months, then it becomes an inactive account or inactive credentials. Okay, and whatever the account you created today, if you are not using that account for a few days or few months, and automatically that account will be inactive. But that is not permanently deleted, it is inactive. So you have to raise a request and you can make it as active, and then you can still use the same kind of credentials. So that is the inactive credentials means. So we have to test the logging of the application by providing inactive credentials. Okay, so the same steps you have to pass, same steps you have to execute, but this time the test data should be inactive credentials. If you have inactive credential, then only you can execute the test case. But as a user, I can create a new account or I can register a new account. I will have a new account details. But if you want to make it as inactive, we should not use that account few many days at least. Then that will become the inactive account. Then we can test that. But currently that availability is not there. So test data for this is pending. We don't have such type of test data, right? We cannot prepare because that is internally administration should make it as active or inactive. Okay, if possible, I will try to do this while executing the test cases. Through admin screen we can do that, because this is the front end application we are testing. So we cannot make account as active or inactive through front end application. Only administrators can do that from the back end application. Okay, so currently we don't have such data, so I'm just putting the message here, test data for this is pending, and user should not be able to log in so with inactive credentials. Okay, so this is our expected result. All right, so next 12th test case. Validate the number of unsuccessful login attempts. This is also one of the important security testing. So especially login functionality, most of the times you will write more number of security test cases. Okay, because that's the entry form. So we need to cross that form to perform the rest of the activities. So that is a main form. So validate the number of unsuccessful login attempts. Means what? Sometimes your login screen will allow you only few attempts. Suppose if you are providing invalid username and password, only 3 to 4 times it will allow you. After that, your account will be locked. And you may observe this kind of functionality for banking applications. It will not allow you to log in more than 3 times. It will allow you only 3 times. But third time, if you provide invalid credentials, then immediately your account or login will be blocked. So the same kind of behavior we are validating here. So validate the number of unsuccessful login attempts. How many number of unsuccessful logins allowing? So that we need to verify. And what we have to do is same steps we have to execute at least 3 to 4 times. Okay, same steps we have to execute at least 3 to 4 times by providing invalid email address and invalid passwords. And then what is our expected result is? So here is expected result. So warning message with the text warning, your account has exceeded allowed number of login attempts. Please try again 1 hour. Please try again in 1 hour. Should be displayed for the fifth time of the clicking the login. So almost 5 times it will allow us. Okay, repeat the all the steps at least 4 times. 4 times it will allow us, but fifth time this warning message should be displayed. Okay, fifth time of the clicking on the login button with the same valid invalid credentials. So this warning message should be displayed. That means 4 times our application login will allowed with invalid credentials, but fifth time it will give you warning message. So this is a one of the important test case which we have to verify how many number of unsuccessful login attempts are allowing. Okay, and then the next test case 13. Validate the text into password field is toggled to hide its visibility. So again, this is a uh, password field verification. So whenever you enter the password, it should be shown in the star marks or dots, but exact the characters should not display in the password field. Okay, that is another test case. So what we have to do for that, click on my account menu and login option, enter any text in the password field, anything in the password field, and what is expected result 1. So that is text enter into the password field should be toggled to hide its visibility. Okay, instead of enter characters getting displayed, the password field should show either star or dot symbols. Okay, so this is a another test case. Next one, 14. Validate the copying of the text entered into the password field. Copying of the text entered into the password field. This is another security test case, guys. So whenever the password we enter, suppose, so I'm entering some password here, okay, and when you copy this text into the text or in notepad or text box, it should not display like this. So when I copy this, I say here copy is disabled. Here you can just look at here, by default this is disabled. Sometimes some applications able to copy this, but you should not get the text value from it. So this is again security breaching. You have to cross check this. So that is actual test case I'm talking about. So validate the copying of the text entered into the text box field. And what are the steps you have to perform? So go to my account menu, click on the login, enter any text into the password field, select the text entered into the password field, right click to select the copy option. So it is not giving the copy option, right? It is disabled. So expected one is, you can just look at copy option in the right click menu should be disabled. The same behavior just now we have seen. And then the next step is select the text entered in the password field and control C. By using control C we also we can copy. Control C shortcut for copying. Then password text should not be copied. It's not copied. We have done both the things. Okay. So this is another security test case for password field. Test case 14. Then the next test case 15. Validate the password is not visible in the page source. Another very important case. Validate the password is validate the password is not visible in the page source. So what is a page source? If I just look at here, I enter some password, right? So if I right click on this element, click on the inspect, okay, and it will show you the elements. What are all elements we displayed on the page is displayed in the HTML format. So this is called as a page source. Normally web pages are designed using HTML language, right? If you want to see that page source, that HTML code, you can just right click, or you can also use this option, view page source. So this is your page source. And in this page source, you should not see the password. You should not able to see the password. That is again security uh, violation, right? So when I enter password on the UI, it should not display anywhere else, right? So here on the page source also, we should not able to see the password anywhere else. You can just cross check, control F, search for this. I entered test 123. I say test 123. See this? I could not find anywhere in this particular page source. So that is a test case is talking about. So whatever the value we enter here, that should not be displayed on the page source. So validate the password is not visible on the page source. So what are the steps you have to perform? Enter any text in the password field. Inspect the password text field. Just now I have inspected. How we have inspected? Right click, inspect option you can use. Then you can see the same HTML. Or you can just go and view page source. The same HTML. You can see in this view or you can directly see in this view. Anything is fine. So inspect the password text field and then expect a result one. What is that? Password text should not be visible in the page source. That is our expectation. And what is the next step? Click on the login button and inspect the password text field. Again, click on the login button, inspect the password text field. So again, say click on the login button like this, and again check the page source again. So this password is displayed somewhere or not. Okay, so this is the one test case. Test case number 15. Next, 16th test case. Validate logging into the application after changing the password. Validate logging into application after changing the password. So let us try to change the password for existing account and check the login is successful with the new password. So that is the actual test case. So here I have written the steps. So first you need to go to my account drop down menu, then click on the login option, then enter valid email addresses into email address, enter valid password, click on the login button. Okay, now till here 1 to 5 steps you will successfully log in into application. Then after successful login you will find change password link. So then you can click on the change password link, enter new password into password field and confirm password fields. Then again click on the continue button, click on my account drop down menu, select the logout option. So till this we have logged out from application. So first we log in into application and change the password by using change your password link, then log out from application, then repeat the same steps again with a new password. Enter new credentials given in step number 7, and then login should be successful or not. You have to verify. So that is our test case. So user should not be allowed to log in, and user should be able to log in. First time when you provide invalid credentials, it should not log in. When you provide valid credentials, it should log in. So what exactly test case means? First, we need to log into the test case, log in into application, and change the password. Okay, and after log out from application, again try to use old password. It should not log in. Okay, because you already changed the password. So if I use old password, expected should be user should not be logged in. When I use change password, new password, then user should be able to log in. So these are the two expectations. So, so here changing password functionality. Okay, 1 second. So 16th. Okay, now let's move on to the next test case. 17th, login functionality. 17th test case. So validate logging into the application, closing the browser without logging out, and opening the application in the browser again. This is another important test case. So we log into the application, successfully provided credentials, valid credentials, and we log into the application successfully. Then don't click on the logout, just close the browser. Okay, then what is our expectation? So our expectation should be like this. So the same steps, click on my account menu, click on the login option, provide valid email address, valid password, click on the login, then close the browser. After successful login, don't click on the logout, just close the browser. And what is the 7th step? Open the browser and open the application URL. After closing the browser, then again open the browser and use the open the application URL. So what is expected now? Logged in session should be still maintained and user should not get logged out. So some applications, it is very, very sensitive area. So when you close your browser page, it should again ask the username and password sometimes, but sometimes it may not ask. Again, depends on the your requirement. Okay, so this is basically security test case, guys. So once you log into application, successfully log in, close the browser, and then again open the browser on the same URL, it should not still logged out. Okay, that is your test case. So test case number 17. Now let's go to the next test case, 18th. 17th we already discussed. Now 18th, validate timeout of the login session. So this is a actually sessions we are verifying. Validate timeout of the login sessions. After logging into the application, just don't do any activity for a few seconds, then check how much time it is idle. Okay, and how we can verify that? Click on my account drop down menu, click on login option, and enter valid email address and password. Click on the login button. So first successfully log in. Once you successfully log in, then wait for more than 30 minutes without performing anything on the application. They're saying 30 minutes. Actually, normally, if we go for any banking or financial applications, it will not wait for more than 3 or 5 seconds. You have to do some activity within those within the particular time, or else the session will be expired. But in this application, they are saying wait for more than 30 minutes without performing anything on the application. Don't perform any navigations. Don't do any activity on the application. Just log in and leave it. And after 30 minutes, perform any action on the application. Just try to click on the link or do some action. Then what is not expected here is Users should get automatically logged out with a proper message stating your session got expired. Okay, whenever you browsing the page, our server will allocate some time, that is called session will be created by the server, and until unless you are working, keep on working, the session will not be expired. But once you stop working, then after few seconds or after few minutes, the session will be expired. Again we have to log into application to perform the activities. Okay, that is a test case. So this is one of the validate timeout of the login session. Next one, 19th. Validate user is able to navigate to different pages from the login page. Again, this is a uh, UI testing. So whenever you click on some links, user is able to navigate between multiple pages or not. So for example, I go to login page here. So in this page, you can find multiple links here. So you can just, again, you need to verify all the links in this page because this is a different page. So these links will place in the login page. So every link you have to click and check whether it is navigating to proper page or not. And click on every tab here or every menu here. Just check whether it is properly navigating to or not. Proper page is navigating or not. So you have to verify those things. UI validations. So this is one more test case. And the next one, 20th, validate the different ways of navigating to the login page. This is again same kind of test case, I guess. Okay, so validate the different ways. Okay, the first test case is the user is able to navigate different pages from the login page. The source is a login page, and from here you need to click on every link and you have to check whether it is going to proper page or not. But in the second test case, validate the different ways of navigating to the login screen. So there are different navigations we have to reach the login page, and those navigations we have to test. So now we'll see how many navigations we have. So validate all below ways navigating to the login page. The first way is click on the login page link in register account page. So if I just go to register account page, and here, okay, this is a register account page, and here you can find something called login link. When you click on this, it will go to login page. That is one way. And the second way is click on login option from the right column options. Click on, okay, just a moment. Click on the login page link in the register account page. That, I think this is the different, guys. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, so on the register account page, you have to click on the login page link. This is the first navigation. This will go to login page, or you can just click on this. On this list, the first option is login. You can click on this. That is the second navigation. This is second navigation. And third navigation, select the login option from the my account drop down. So go to my account and login. So this is the one option, second option, and third option. Here it is third option. Okay, these three ways it is going to login page or not, we have to verify. So these are the three different ways, and in all the ways we should able to navigate to login page. So these are all navigation test cases. So then 20th test case, and next one, 21. What is the 21 test case? Validate the breadcrumb, page heading, page title, and page URL. Yesterday we have seen this. Breadcrumb means what? Whenever you select some option, the navigation should display here. So now currently I'm register page, account and register. So for example, when I click on the software, so you can see home page and software. And when I click on the cameras here, and home page and cameras. And when I click on my account and login, then you can see home page, account, and login. So this is called breadcrumb. So we have to verify this. And yeah, my account drop down menu, login option I have to select, and breadcrumb is properly displayed or not, we have to verify for login screen especially. So proper breadcrumb, page heading, okay, and page URL and page title should be displayed. Just a moment, guys. I'm just confusing about this word breadcrumb, or one second. Breadcrumb. Okay, this is a breadcrumb, guys. So what is a breadcrumb means? A small piece of the navigation, like whichever the option we have selected, that should be come here in the proper manner in this header part. Okay, that is called breadcrumb. So that we have to validate for login. And the next test case is 22. So here validate the UI of the login page. So what you have to verify, go to account page and click on the login option, and what you have to verify is login page UI should adhere to the UI checklist. Means what? UI checklist in the sense, in the UI, everything should be properly visible or not. Images are placed properly or not. All elements are placed in the right size or not. And alignment. These are all comes under the UI checklist. Okay. So according to the checklist, we have to prepare. So we'll prepare small checklist, guys, UI checklist. Like what are the elements are there in the page and where exactly they should display and on which color they should display and the size and height of the elements. So with these details, we will prepare small checklist, UI checklist, and according to that checklist the page is appearing to the user or not, we will verify that. So that is a UI test case. And one last test case, validate login page functionality in all the supported environments. Means what? Different browsers like Chrome browser, Firefox, Mozilla, okay, multiple browsers. So sometimes if you are install the application on Linux or other operating system also, we can access the application and test the same test case on multiple platforms. So that is a last test case. So these many test cases we have written for login screen, guys. Almost 23 test cases we have written for login scenario. Okay, so similarly for every test scenario you can write n number of test cases, and everybody may not write the same number of test cases. Some people may write more number of test cases or some people may write less number of test cases, but the coverage is very very important. Your test case should able to catch the defects. That is the main motto of the test case. So why you are writing the test case like this? Because our test cases should find the bugs in our application. That is the main objective of writing the test cases. Okay, so everything as a user's perspective, you have to think and cover each and every part of your application while writing the test cases. Okay, so we have discussed two scenarios, guys. So login and registration account, and rest of the scenarios you guys can proceed further. You guys can do your own by reading the scenarios. I'll provide all the scenarios, and each scenario you have to create multiple sheets like this and write your own test cases by seeing the FRS document and explore the application and continue further. It takes a lot of time, guys. Okay, it's not possible within 1 or 2 hours. So I again leave it to you guys, and you guys can proceed further rest of the scenarios. That's your assignment. Okay, now so we have seen all the test cases so far, and now we will proceed with the next step, that is an environment. And again remember, guys, whenever you write the test cases and everything, you have to conduct the reviews also, peer reviews and group reviews, or within the team, or sometimes you need walkthroughs. So you have to review the test cases multiple times. Okay, once you've done this, then we have to go to the next phase, environment setup and build deployment. So by the time we're ready with the test cases, then development team will send the build. So we have to receive the build and install that build in the testing environment. Then we will proceed further. So that is the next step, guys. Okay. All right. So with this, we have done writing some of the test cases. Now, this is a time to setting up the environment where we'll get the build from the developer and we'll try to install the build. Build is nothing but a small piece of software which contains certain number of features. And don't think like developer will develop every feature in build number one itself. So they will develop the features bits and pieces. Suppose in the first build, they may provide only register functionality. In the second build, they may provide only login and other functionalities, right? They will split up the features into multiple builds. So your test cases also should run in multiple cycles, not only one cycle or single cycles. Okay. So you will get multiple builds. Yeah, incremental model. So first you will get one version of the build. In the second version, third version. In every version of the build, you will have a new features developed by the developer, and also sometimes bug fixes. Sometimes you raise a bug in the first build. In the second build, the bug fixes will be there, and you have to verify those bugs are fixed or not. So those cycles will go on like this till the testing cycles are completed. Okay. So now we'll see how we can set up the environment and build deployment. So for whatever application I'm showing you here, this is a just a demo purpose they have given. You can see demo.open.com. So we can install this in your local machine also. Okay. So if you have an internet, then only you can access this application from here. You can also conduct some testing, but we don't have full control on this. We cannot access the databases and other components. But if you install or if you deploy this application in your local machine, then you will have the full-fledged control on that. We can access the database also. We can see the tables also. Okay. So, but still, if you want to conduct the testing, still that is fine, except the database related test cases. Rest of them, you guys can continue the testing on this application, demo application. Okay. But if you need a full-fledged application, the complete application, including front end and admin part, you have to download and install it. Okay. So now I'll show you how to download and install this application on your local machine. So that will be permanently there. Whenever you want to work with this application, you can work with that. Okay. So let me show you how we can download, and we can say deployment. That's a technical term we use. Deployment means whatever build we get from the developer will install in our test environment. And for that, whatever the requirement, prerequisite requirement will be there, like operating system, what version, we need to understand that. Okay. So if I just look at the test plan document, so I have mentioned the environment details on which environment we should have to install the application. If I just look at the test plan once. Okay. So yeah, so if I just go beginning, yeah, you can just look at here, test environments. So these are the test environments where we have to test our test cases. And I think somewhere I also mentioned the technologies used in this application and what are the technologies used in this application. I think in the FRS document. Okay, let me open the FRS document. Okay, so in this, yeah, you can just look at here. These are the system requirements. So the database is MySQL, and the web server we need to have because this is a web application, and along with the PHP. There are two important components we need to have, guys, to install this application. So one is MySQL database should be there. MySQL database should be installed. That's the one thing. Second thing is we need to have Apache server. Means whenever you deploy the web application, we are accessing through URL, right, through browser. So to run the web application, we need a web server. So that is called Apache server. That is called Apache server. So let me just give you the architecture, how it is going to work. Suppose every application, there is a backend that's called database. Let us say this is my database. This is my database. And actual application. So this is a web server. There are three components we'll have for any web application. And this is called as a web or application server. And here, this is called actual front end. Okay, user will always interact with the front end application through URL. So actual application, whatever the software, will be deployed in this web server. So all the web pages will be installed in this web server. We will deploy on top of web server. And the data we are getting from the database. So these two will internally interact. Okay, database, actual data will be stored in the database, and these two will interact. So whenever you're browsing the pages, we are getting from that web server. Okay, this is actual structure. So here we use any browser to access the application, but here we need a web server to deploy our application. So here we need Apache server. So Apache is a server which we have to use to deploy the application. And this is one prerequisite we need to have. The second thing is we need to have MySQL database. Then we will store all the tables in the MySQL database. Then application will get the data from those tables. So these are the two prerequisites we need to have to deploy this application. Okay. So what I will tell you is, instead of installing these two software differently, or again, to deploy the web application even in Apache server is also more technical. Okay. So instead of doing this more complex, What I will do is I'll introduce you one small application, a small software called XAMP. Okay, let me put that name here, XAMP. So there is a software called XAMP. X AMMP, XAMP. Okay. So if I install this particular software in your machine, you will automatically get the MySQL database and Apache server. So these two things by default will be installed on your server, installed in your machine if you install the software. And this will provide you something called a control panel. Through that control panel, you can manage these two things. If you, whenever you want to start your database, you can start it, you can stop it. Similarly, whenever you want to start your server, you can start it, you can stop it. So you will have the complete control on these components. Okay. So this is the first thing. So if you install this app, a small application which is freely available, if you install this, you will automatically get the MySQL database as well as Apache server. And then I'll show you how to deploy our application on the server and how it is going to communicate with the database. And we do some configurations. Our application will connect with the database. We provide some kind of connection details and everything. So I'll show you step by step how we can set up the environment, how we can deploy the application. And one more thing is, it is not exactly the same for every application on every application, but how we will know how to deploy the application in test environment. So developer will provide you the release notes along with the build. So along with the build, they will also give you a small document called as a release notes. Remember guys, this is a technical term. In interview, people may ask you, what is the release notes? So developer will provide you the release notes along with the build. So what release notes contains? Release notes contains the how you have to deploy your application, installation steps and procedures, and what the build contains. Whatever build the developer is provided, what that build contains, what are the features they have developed in that build, and what are the bug fixes they have done in that build. So this information you can find in the release notes. So every build you will get, along with the build you will get the release notes. So the release notes contains a step-by-step installation requirements and steps, and what are the new features have implemented, what are the bug fixes they have done. So this kind of information you can find in the release notes, remember. Okay, so don't worry about the installation, deployment, everything. So here this application is having a different type of deployment, and some other applications, web applications, having different type of deployment methods. So it will be changing from one application to another application. Don't expect it should be the same for every application or every environment. Okay, so now I'll show you how to deploy this application or how to install this application in your local machine. Without having internet also, you can work with this application. Okay, now I have prepared a small document, and you can just look at this document, and we'll go step by step. I'll show you how to deploy this application. And again, this is not mandatory guys. Okay, if you are interested, if you want to see, if you want to run your application in your local machine permanently, then you can go through these steps, or else you can still work on this application, demo application. Okay, you can still use this URL and you can work on this. You can also conduct testing on this UI or application. But if you want to access the database, or if you want to perform some database operations, then I suggest to install this application in your local machine. Okay, now let us proceed further. So here a small document I created, OpenCart build deployment or installation. Step by step I'll explain, I'll perform, and we'll see how we can install it. Okay, so as I said, the prerequisites are these two. MySQL database should up and running, and Apache server is required because it is a web-based application. And to get these two as a combination, we use a small piece of software called XAMP. Okay, so first we'll start with this XAMP. So let me open the document. So this is a link, OpenCart download. So before the installing XAMP, we have to download the actual software, OpenCart software, right? So we have to use this link. Open this, and if I just go to this website, they provided download link. So now you can see here there is a download now button is there. So once you click on this, which will download the actual OpenCart software web application. So you can just click on this, which will download the software. So if I just look at here, I already downloaded. Let me show you. Yeah, you can just look at here. You will get a small zip file, OpenCart 0.3.6 zip file. You will get a small zip file. Later we will extract this file. Okay, this is the actual software, OpenCut application. So through this link, I have to download that software. Everybody will able to download. No license, everything is free. It is an open source application. Everybody can use it. Okay. And the first thing, we have to download the OpenCart software. The second thing is to install the OpenCart software, we need a set an environment. What is that? Apache and MySQL and PHP also, guys. Sorry. PHP is also required. Some components should come from PHP. That is also required. So all three you will get through exam with single software. If you install exam, we'll automatically get these three components which are required to install our application. Okay. Now let's try to download XAMPP application. Let me just go to this link. Okay. And if you open this link, it is a website, apachefriends.org download. If I just look at here, XAMPP is supported multiple platforms, Windows, Linux, like Mac, or multiple operating systems, 3 operating systems it is supported. And currently we are working on Windows. So let's move on to the Windows. Okay, so in the Windows, XAMPP on Windows, there are multiple versions are there. So I have done with multiple versions. There is some components are not coming with this version. So I suggest you go for this one, 7.4.13 version. Okay, so okay, just click on this download 64-bit. And once you click on the download, it start downloading the software. I'm just discarding because I already have it. You can just look at here. This is the executable file you will get. XAMPP Windows x64-bit 7.4.13-1 vc15 installer.exe. So small piece of software you will get. Okay. So what is the use of this? Once you install this XAMPP, you will automatically get the MySQL, Apache, as well as PHP. So these are the three components which we need to have to run our web applications. To install these three things individually, again, very complex. So that's the reason we are making use of this particular software. Now, the next step is once you downloaded this and try to install XAMPP. Okay, we'll try to install XAMPP. We already downloaded our software in the zip format. So let's keep it side. Later we will come to here again. So first let us start with XAMPP. How to install the XAMPP? I'll show you step by step. I already captured the screenshots also here, but again, I'll do the same steps and I'll show you how to do that. Fine. So let me just run this installer as an administrator. Just right click on this, run as administrator. Okay. So once you click on run as an administrator, which will open up the window, small window. Just a moment. Yeah, so it will just give you a small warning window. You can just ignore it. Okay, just hold on. I think in the C drive, I already have this installation. Just let me remove that. Okay, so now I don't have any installation. So first time when you launch this particular installer exe file, it will just give you a small warning. You can just ignore it. Just click on yes. And this is the warning. You can just say yes, okay. You can ignore that, and then you will get to know the screens. You have to just go through each and every screen. Just click on the next, and you can see here. So these are the default components you will get along with this software. So all these components are required. Okay, you don't need to select anything. By default, everything is selected. Then just click on the next. Now here, this is the actual location where XAMPP will be installed under C drive. Let it be the default location. Then say next. English, next, and say next. And here learn more about Bitnami for XAMPP. You can just uncheck. It is not required. It's related to document. And then click on the next, and then next. Now it is started installation. So let it complete first. And once it is completed, you will get XAMPP control panel. So from where you can control MySQL, Apache server, everything we will able to control. So first let us set up the environment, and then we will deploy the build. So setting up the environment is different. Deploying the build is different, guys. Okay. Now we are in the process of setting up the environment. So to deploy the build or deploy the application, first we need to set up the environment. So that is MySQL, Apache server, and PHP. So these are the environments we require to deploy the application. So now we are in the process of setting up the environment. So let it complete, and then I'll show you how to deploy the build. So every step I clearly noted down here. I'll share this document later. You guys can go through this. So same screens what I have shown you, just I have captured here. So once it is completed, finally, you will see this particular screen. So this is the final screen you will see. Let it complete, then we will proceed further. All right, so now XAMPP is successfully installed. It is saying unpackaging file and creating an installer. Still, it is in progress. Let it complete. And once it is completed, then we will proceed further. So yeah, so now, okay, now it is still running. Just hold on. Yeah, so now completing the exam setup widget. So it is saying, do you want to start the control panel now? If I select this box, by default, your control panel will appear. Or if you don't want to do this, if I just uncheck it and you can finish it. And then you have to open the control panel manually. Okay, manually how to open. So for example, I'm just unchecking this for now. I say finish. So now XAMPP is successfully installed. Now I should be able to control the MySQL Apache servers. So how we can control them? So we have to open the XAMPP. You can just control panel. As soon as you search on Windows, XAMPP control panel will be there. And you can just open this as a run as an administrator. And then you will see a small control panel. Yeah. Now we can just look at here. This is your MySQL. This is your XAMPP control panel. And you can see all the components, Apache, MySQL, 5G. Some you will get some additional components also. You don't need other components. Only Apache, MySQL. So these are only two components you require from this control panel. Okay. So with this, we have done the installation successful. And what is the next step? Environment is ready. MySQL is ready. Then Apache is also ready. Let me just run them also. So how to start this? By default, they are not started. Okay. And now I'm starting. So when I click on the start button, Apache server will start. If you click on the stop button, Apache server will stop. Okay. And similarly, MySQL. So which is having full-fledged control, guys. You don't need to install MySQL or Apache separate softwares. So you can just install this small component, which will automatically setting up everything. Okay. Even though if you have MySQL in your local machine, you can stop the service. You can stop the existing MySQL service, then use it this. Okay. Use this MySQL, and which is bind with the Apache server. Even MySQL is a bind with the Apache server. But again, if you have a MySQL in your local machine, again, you have to do some additional configurations. So I don't suggest that. So even though if you have still MySQL installed on your local machine, you can stop the service. Okay. And then you can use this MySQL, which is come from XAMPP. So now I'm starting the environment. So Apache, I want to start. Click on the start button. That's it. It will start it. Now you can just turn into green color. It is started. Now I'm starting MySQL also. I just click on the start. That's it. Even MySQL is also started. Now it should not close this control panel, guys. Okay, both are starting now. Both are up and running. Okay, so just you need to minimize this. Okay, that's it. So your environment setup is ready. Now you are ready for deployment. So what are the prerequisites we need to have is achieved. We have a MySQL, we have Apache server is up and running. Okay, you can just control from here. So throughout you are working on application, until unless you work is completed on the application, you should not stop these two. Okay. Now, so environment setup is ready. Now we need to deploy our application on the Apache server. So for that, what you have to do is we have to first go here. Okay, this is a step. And if you have any, if you face any issues on this, sometimes may not, sometimes when Apache server may not start properly or MySQL may not start properly, then these components are using some other port. Suppose some other applications are using the same port number, because Apache server, MySQL, these components are using some default port numbers. Okay, if I just look at here, Apache using 80443 ports and MySQL is using 3306. Suppose in your computer some other components or other softwares are using the same ports, then you will face some issue here. You will not able to run, you will not able to start your services in the exam. So in that case, you have to kill those processes first. Okay, whatever other softwares are using these port numbers, you have to kill those processes, then again start this component. So for that also I have given some command here. So to kill the existing processes, you can just execute this command by providing the number process id. This is basically process id, and whichever number you will provide here, that process will be automatically killed. Okay, and then you can restart the services. Then, so now we are starting the build deployment from step number 3. So how to deploy the build on Apache server? So the first step, we already downloaded the software, right? We already downloaded the OpenCode software in the zip format. So first we need to extract that file. So let me extract it. Just a second. Okay, so let me just extract, copy OpenCard folder step 1 into below location. So we have to extract that zip file and we need to copy that folder into this particular location, exam ht docs location. So let me try to do this. First of all, we have to extract into the extract here. Okay, so you will get a folder. So actual web pages are present in this particular folder. Oh, sorry guys, one second. Just a moment. Extract into the folder, guys. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so let me extract once again. Right click and extract to the folder, because that folder contains all the pages and everything. Okay, now it is extracting the folders. Yeah, now it is done. So now if I just open this folder, you will see all project related files. Now what I have to do is we have to just copy this folder as it is, and wherever the XAMPP is installed, XAMPP is installed under C drive, XAMPP folder, you will see one new folder, something called HD docs. Okay, inside the HD docs, you have to just copy the folder as it is. Okay, you have to copy the folder as it is inside the ht docs. So this is a one step you have to do. So copy OpenCard folder in step 1, whatever we downloaded, extract that into the folder, then copy that folder inside this location. So the same screenshot I have captured here. Okay, so after copying this, yeah, now it is copied. After copying this, just rename the file, just remove the version numbers and just have only OpenCard. Okay, just OpenCard folder, rename the folder. That's the next step. And after renaming the folder internally, also we need to rename some files. So what are those files? Just go inside of the OpenCart, and here you can see some file under inside the upload. Inside the upload, you will see some configuration files. So you have to rename those files. And the first configuration file is inside this XAMPP htdocs OpenCart upload. Inside this, there is a file called config-dist.php. Just you have to remove the dist. Config.php. This is a renaming the file. And same file will be there inside the admin also. Go to the admin folder here, config-dist-php. So you can also rename this. Just say config.php. So these are the two files you have to rename it. So I also specified clearly in the document. So first go to this location and rename the file. So this file you have to change to like this, and again go to this location admin, change this file this to this one, config.php. That's it. Now your application should connect with the database. So we have just deployed the application on the server. Now your application is able to connect to the database. How we can do that? So first we need to open the database and we need to create some database inside the MySQL, and then we need to establish the connection. So connect to the database and create a DB. So let me open this URL. Now your server setup is done. Okay. So our server setup is done. So let me open this URL. Okay. So this URL will open your database, MySQL database. Now you can see this is a MySQL database UI. This is a MySQL database UI. Okay. So this is a database, guys. So this is a UI of the database. Even database also we can access through URL. Okay.
Fine. So once you open this URL here, by default, there are some databases are there by default. Okay. So what we have to do, we have to create our own database for our application. So if I just look at here, I have given, so create a new database, open shop. Okay. And the MySQL. So MySQL, we already opened here through this URL. And here we have to create a new database which contains all the tables which are related to our application. So what is the database name I provided here is Open Shop. This is the database name. And now I'm just creating the new database. How to create a new database? Let me increase the font. Okay. How to create the new database here is simple. Click on the new, and which will give you one new form. Here you have to just type the database name. Don't give any semicolons, hyphens, spaces, anything, just single word. Open shop. This is my database name in MySQL. And here select something called collection, which is default. Okay. And after that, just click on create. That's it. Now the database created. Currently, there are no tables found in this database. We will get the tables later. So just we have just created the database table, just database. OpenShop is my database, which contains number of tables. Later, all the tables will be updated automatically. I'll show you that. So now with this step, what I have done, we have just connected to the database. Then we have just created one new database called OpenShop and leave it empty. So currently we don't have any tables in that. Okay, I have also given the screenshots here. So you have to just follow the as it is. Now everything is done, guys. We have deployed the application. We have set up the database. Now we have to connect those two. Application should interact with the database, right? So how we will interact? If I create a connection between your application and database, then both will be interacted. So the next step is we have to establish the connection between your applications and a database. Now, after creating the databases, now open the website. So this URL will open your website. You can just look at here. So don't close this window, database URL still be there. Now I'm opening another tab and use this URL. Localhost is representing your local computer, or you can also provide your local computer IP also, no issues. So when I open this URL, observe this. Now you will get the some options here, and here just click on upload link. That's it. So you will get a few screens here. You have to provide the connection details, database connection details. So your application is already up and running. Only thing is we have to establish the connection to the database. Now just click on the continue. Now you can see cross check every pre-installation steps are successfully done or not. If all these components are successfully installed, you can see status is showing tick mark, green color. So if you're able to see all of them are correctly installed, then only you can proceed further. Okay, you can cross check here and then click on continue once again. Yes, here exactly we have to provide the database connection details. So database connection details you have to provide. So how to provide the connection details? Localhost, because MySQL is also installed on my local machine. So I provide the localhost, and username is root. This is the default username of MySQL. There is no password. And database. What is the database we created? OpenShop. And this is a default port number. MySQL always run. And the prefix. Suppose whenever you created the new tables, so every table is name is having some prefix, like say OC. OC is representing the open card. So you can change the prefix also, no problem. So every table will start with OC hyphen. And then username of your MySQL, and then password, and then email address you have to provide. So I'll just provide password is also admin. Email, I'll say admin@gmail.com. So just provide the default information. Admin@gmail. You can also provide your email ID, no problem at all. Fine. So once you provide it, and these details are very important, guys. Later, if you want to connect to the database, you have to use these details. Okay. So let me just capture the screenshot. Just a moment. Okay, so we can use the same connection details through any other client. So if you want to connect to the MySQL through like any other clients, like SQL Workbench, if you have any clients installed in your local system, You can use those clients also to connect to the database, not only this UI. Okay, so these are the connection details. Fine. So once you provided these connection details, then you can simply say continue. So once you have done the continue, over. So your connection will be established with the application. And now you can see you will get some small messages. Don't forget to delete your installation directory. So don't forget to delete your installation directory. So this step we have to do. And then we can use this for front-end application. This link you can use for administration. So your already setup is done. So it is just giving a small warning. Don't forget to delete your installation directory. What is that? If I just go to the next step, see this, all the screenshot have captured. So if I just go to the next step after providing the connection details, this is a small warning you can see. So to avoid this warning, you can do it. You can just go to this location, exam hdocs open code upload, where there is a folder called install. So we have to just delete that folder. We don't require that. Okay, done. So once it is done, then just click on go to your online shop. I'm opening in the next tab. Then you will see your application. So this is your application. So now you are able to test this application. So this is how we need to set up environment and deploy the application. And if you need an administrator application, you can just go with this one. Log into your administration application. This is your administration application. And username login is admin and admin. As said before, there are some backend activities also going on from the admin team, right? And those activities will be done using administrator window. Okay, you can just close this window. So this is a administrator window. There are n number of modules are there, catalogs, extensions, and design, sales, customers. So whatever the customers newly added, those customers we can see in this administrator window. Here we can see those details. But this is not the database guide. This is also UI application, but actual data will be stored in the database tables. Now your applications are up and running, but where we can see the tables. Now again, go back to your database. Okay, and just click on this open shop. Now the tables also automatically created. Now you can just look at here. These are all the tables, different tables, n number of tables are there in this database. But where exactly our customer data will be stored? As soon as you register a new account, there is a separate table is there. So where exactly it is, let me show you. OC underscore customer. Yeah, this is the table, guys. In this table, all the customer information will be stored. So we'll try to validate this later. Okay, so this is how we need to set up the database and everything. So now your URL is working fine. You can also close these pages, nothing. And your exam server should always up and running, guys. Okay, you should not stop it. And if your work is completed on your application, your testing is completed for today, what you can do at the end of the day, you can stop these two servers. And tomorrow when you start your testing again, you can start these two servers and open the URLs. So I provided those URLs also. This is for front end application. This is for back end application, administrator applications. And for every time, you don't need to do these steps. Once you have set up the environment, once you deployed your application, enough. So next time onwards, make sure these two servers or services are running or not, then minimize it. Just open this URL. Just open this URL. That's it. So you'll be able to get the application and you will be able to test it. Okay. So this is how we need to set up environment and then build deployment. So during this particular process, guys, if you face any issues, okay, suppose installation got failed, or at the time of installation, if there are any files are missing, or you are getting any warnings or errors, immediately you have to reject the build. And that is comes under the smoke testing. And once your installation is done, you have to basically check the installation process is working fine or not. So far, we haven't faced any issues. If you face any issues while installation, that is again comes under smoke testing. So installer is perfectly coming or not, all the files are present or not, installation is successful or not, okay, database connection is working or not, and on the UI, URL is working or not, and every option when I navigate to register link, I'm getting page or not, when I go to login page, I'm getting proper pages or not. Just click on each and every link, we are able to navigating the pages or not. So this is all comes under the smoke testing, very basic functionality testing. If these things are working fine, Then we will proceed with the rest of the testing. We will execute the functional test cases, DB test cases, everything. But if there is any failures happen during this process, smoke testing will fail and we reject the build, and developer will make another build and provide the build again. So this is a process, guys. Okay. So in this document, I have just clearly mentioned each and every step, how to set up the environment and how to deploy the application. And this process is applicable only for this application. So every application is having their own process, and developer will get to know how we need to deploy the build in your environment and what kind of environment should be there. Okay. So with this, we have done environment setup and build deployment. In the next session, we are proceeding with the test execution. Whatever test cases we have written, even smoke testing is also done because we have done very basic functionality. Installation is successful. We haven't faced any issues, and URL is working fine. And all the options, registration form, login form, all the links properly displaying. So then we will able to proceed further. Okay. So the next phase is test execution. So here, whatever test cases we already written, reviewed, signed off, so those test cases we have to start executing on this application. Okay, so this is the one round of execution. Suppose if you find any defects in this application, we report them to the developer, and developer will fix it, and they will give another build, another application, another build. Again, we have to install the entire build. Again, same process we have to follow. Whenever the developer is providing the new build, we have to again set the environment. Environment setup is not required, but we need to change the files every time. We need to deploy the new application because which contains the new features and new bug fixes. Again, that is comes under sanity and regression testing we will do, and then rest of the testings we will conduct. Functional testings we have to conduct in every build. But initial stages on the new builds, we will do smoke testing. Once the builds are stable, after 2 or 3 cycles, builds will be very stable. From then, we do sanity testing. The basic functionality is working fine or not, and bug fixes are working fine or not. Because of those bug fixes, existing functionality is not affecting or not. So we will test all these things, and then we will proceed with the functional test cases. We'll execute our functional test cases. So that is a process, guys. Okay, in the next session we will see how we can execute our test cases, how we have to report the bugs, and sanity testing, retesting, regression testing. So these things we will see in the next session. Okay, so that's all for today's session, guys.